Hi, welcome back to Weatherford Daze. We are thrilled you could join us today. We are on week 4 and the last week of kids movie musical month. So yeah, we saved a good one for last. Probably not the best for last, right? But a good one for last.
It's fun. I will agree, it's fun.
It is fun. I think is got a lot that can be discussed in it. Just kind of the themes and everything, and mainly because it's a long movie.
Is that 2.5 hours?
It is. It's 2.5 hours, which for a kids movie, I feel like is pretty long.
It's even got an intermission in the middle, if I remember.
Yeah,
Entr'acte.
it does. Which is you don't see that a lot anymore.
I don't
But
see that anymore with anything.
well, there's a reason you don't see that anymore. Nowadays, most everything is streaming, and you can just pause it. It's not like you had to actually give people a time for a potty break.
I think you did see that with, real quick, there's a movie, The Hateful Eight. It's a Quentin Tarantino movie. He did in that 70s style, which had an intermission. It was like 1969, 70s, that kind of style. It had an intermission in it. It was long.
Fun fact.
I love those.
Thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome. I'm glad to bring that. But yeah, not too many intermissions anymore. I kind of miss them in some ways. They treat it like it's an event.
Yeah. I think that I was thinking for this one, because it's so long, that rather than kind of try and summarize the plot and then go into like discussion, why don't we just kind of discuss along the way? Anything about the plot that caught us, we'll just go ahead and do that and then try and sum up because there's a lot to the plot. I feel like it can't just be summarized very quickly. It has more meat to it than any of the other musicals that we've talked about. Did you notice that?
Yeah. I was telling Rachel earlier that if you just take out the fantasy sequence out of this movie and just excise it out, that ends up being a story of a car and two people who get to know and like each other, and these two kids, and they eventually get hitched, and there's money to be had in the candy. So
But I feel like
that
if you took
takes something away
out
from it. Yeah,
the story part of it, that you lose a lot of the developing romance. The romance doesn't make sense as much.
but it's a fantasy. I don't know. I guess my
But
brain
they
fought
essentially
against this
fall
movie a
in
little bit with the
love in
musical portion.
they fall in love in like just a couple of days.
Yeah, they do. It's like 20, 40, 48 hours. You're right.
Well, I don't know.
It kind of
It's a
is.
couple of days of them actually interacting with each other, but then there's multiple days that he's fixing the car.
Yeah, but he's not hanging out with her. So
Right. So I mean,
so it's not really
yeah.
developing
I'm just saying there was only a couple of days that they were actually interacting with each other, but then that time that they were interacting with each other was broken up
Yes.
by an unspecified amount of time. But we are jumping all over.
I'm sorry,
Let's start at the beginning. And we're gonna, yeah, like I said, we'll summarize and discuss as we go, which will be fun. And hopefully, if you are joining us here, you have watched this movie maybe at some point in time.
You're like, what movie are you guys talking about? Well, here we go.
Oh yeah. We're
Take it
talking
away.
about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang today.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Which I'm sure that everybody that's clicked on it saw the title. So
Oh,
that's
right,
not going to
right,
be a
right.
huge revelation at this point.
And maybe the car is in the thumbnail. We'll see.
We'll have to see what magic you whip up this week.
I like cars.
So, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It is based around a car, but ultimately, I would dare say that it is a beautiful love story. It's more of a love story or a romance than any of the other children's musicals that we've talked about. And in that, I would say that even though it is incredibly fun for kids, I don't know that the storyline is necessarily for kids.
I know a couple things in here that I would say are that I, as an adult, looked askew at more. We'll get to it.
I would say that it is for sure a family movie and that there are things that kids are going to enjoy, but it is almost even more geared towards adult audiences. That it was something that it's like, this is a story for adults that we're going to make so fun for kids that kids will not even realize that this is for adults. I feel like that's
I'm
the way that they do it.
I'm with you on that. That
As
makes total
much
sense.
as like you look at a musical like Meet Me in St. Louis,
Hmm.
that, you know, there's kids in it. It's got elements that kids are going to enjoy, but it's definitely a story for
Yeah,
adults. And I feel like this one's
adult
kind of
relationships and how
right.
we
It's
relate
kind of
to each others.
straddling that line
Yeah,
of the storyline is not necessarily geared towards kids or a, you know, like Mary Poppins, it's for kids. Adults can enjoy it too. It's for kids. We looked at Annie, you know, I feel like that was for kids, but adults enjoy it too. You
yeah.
know,
There's some stuff in there where you're kind of like the adults are kind of like, I know what they're trying to say here, but the kids
right.
would just completely not see that. I'm
And
sure.
this one, I feel like it was made for adults, but kids can enjoy it too. You know, it's like that opposite.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that it's kind of unique in that, but it's still entirely super fun
Yes.
for everyone. So this is one of those just ideal family movies, and I think that there's stuff that all ages can pull out of it and enjoy.
You have to have a goofy sense of humor, I think. If you're hoping that it's going to be highbrow humor and it's going to be the wordplay of a Shakespeare, then keep moving on because this is
Is there
goofy fun.
anything that Dick Van Dyke is in that is not goofy fun?
I don't know.
Kind of wonder because I feel like that's just the kind of stuff that he did.
It's some of the stuff he likes to do, I think, in a lot of ways.
Which, while we're talking about Dick Van Dyke, this is another one that he did. It was after Mary Poppins. I found out
Yes.
looking up things that
It
they
was 68. This
actually
one was the one was 64. Yeah,
Mhm.
so 4 year difference.
They had originally offered the role of Truly Scrumptious, who's our main female character, to Julie Andrews, but she turned it down because she felt like it was too much like Mary Poppins, which I don't understand that reasoning at all. I feel like she
I don't think she was
missed out.
quite saying it was Mary Poppins, but because that's a magical character. I think she was saying the comparisons between
Mhm.
her. Here you've got Dick Van Dyke and Julie Andrews again, and they're liking each other, and so I don't know. I think maybe she was trying to fight a little bit of that
But the thing
typecasting,
is
maybe typecast. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like the storyline is just completely different. Which so let's jump into the storyline a little bit. I keep trying to do that and we keep getting distracted. Sorry. All right. So it starts out with I love the way that they started this movie. That is something that I really enjoy because you have several minutes while the credits are going that they're actually telling us a story within the story. And it's the story of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the car, and how, you know, it was a race car.
Right.
So you're seeing these different races that it was in, and you're actually just, you know, you're seeing the zooming of the cars and all the people that are out and surrounding it, and you're just kind of getting this really interesting snapshot of history of when I mean, it's set in the early 1900s, right? The very beginning of the 19th century. So you're thinking that cars haven't been around too terribly long at this point. And already, you know, the big thing that they're doing is having these races.
Yes. And the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang car was actually based off a real car
Mm,
and would do these exact kind of races with them. So
mhm.
that's what inspired the author. But
Yeah, it's just some really great cinematography and just it's
it
cool.
could
I think
almost
it's
be its
really interesting.
own movie,
Mhm.
not even musical, but like an actual.
It feels like one of those old silent film movies or just, you know, the very beginning of movie making with just watching the, you know, the action going where it's
It is
there's
kind
not
of
a
it
whole
is
lot
kind
of
of
story
sped
being
up a little
told.
bit too to make it a little more
Mhm.
the people moving, and they're moving at high speed, so you get that feel to
It
it.
feels like, yeah, the
Yeah,
early movies.
can't help but feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see, several years where there's the racing going on until one day with the car, they're coming to the very end of the race, and it's a little girl, right, that rushes out right at the finish line to grab up her dog. Am I remembering that right?
I just remember there was a little girl, and again, the car veers off and
Right. The little girl
crashes.
rushes out into the road to, I think it's to grab her dog, and he swerves to miss her, and he runs off the road, and the car just blows up. And that's the end of the racing career for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next thing you know, you see these two little kids who are our main children characters.
Jeremy and Jemima Potts.
Mm-hmm. And they are in kind of a junkyard type setting, or, they never really say where exactly, but it's a man that has, I guess, a bunch of broken down, maybe he's a mechanic.
Yep.
Trying to just, fix up the car. He's got this car in his yard, and they're sitting in the car just, using their imaginations and pretending that they're racing. And he has a man that's there at the same time as these little kids are playing, that gives him an offer for the car. He's going to, it was 30 shillings.
Yeah, the 30 bob or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, or 30 shillings.
30
Yeah.
shillings. And so the kids are, like, well, no, you can't buy our car. This is our car. And he's like, yeah, I can. I just did. And the guy is really mean just from the get go, like unnecessarily rude and mean and ugly towards the kids. You just kind of, see that this is the villain from the very beginning, right? This guy is evil. And they ask him, well, what are you going to do with the car? And he's like, I'm going to melt it
Melted down.
down and, use it for, I guess, scrap metal.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, he's going to melt it down and destroy it. So yeah, right from the beginning, there's our storyline. The kids go to the owner of the car, and they're like, please, please don't let him have it until we talk to our dad. Our dad will buy it. And he's like, well, okay, if you can get your dad, to buy it, 30 shillings, not a penny less. And they're like, oh yeah, it won't be any problem. Our dad will buy it. The faith of a child. And so they run off to go and tell their dad. And as they're running across the road, a lady in a car comes, and they dart out right in front of her, driving in the road. And she goes off the road into a little lake. And
for the first time. It won't be the last.
For the first time. And they stop, and they're like, oh, we're so sorry, and she backs back up and comes out, and she's like, well, children, what are you doing? How dare you run into the road? You could have been hurt.
And why aren't you at school?
Exactly. Why aren't you at school? And she's like, well, where are your parents and this kind of thing? And she gets, of course, the kid's response, oh, daddy won't mind that we're not in school. Which gets her spidey senses tingling.
They're homeschooled.
She's going, okay, no, these kids are running wild and the parents not parenting. I've got to do something about this.
Yeah.
And so she tells the kids to get in the car. She's going to take them home. And so we see, as soon as she pulls in, let's see, is the grandfather come out first?
I think the grandpa is.
Well, I think the grandfather comes out first.
He's going to see the Maharaja or whatever he says. He always said, or Africa. It's always something. I mean, yeah.
So you see, very eccentric. The grandfather, and then the father comes out, and he's got this rocket strapped on.
Yes.
And he's going to, he's on a track with a rocket. And this is her first introduction to the father. So she's just very much confused and scandalized. And yeah, she's going, whatever is going on? I've got to help these poor children.
And I'm sure the rocket suit works. It really does. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, he goes and lights it, and he's about to take off, and he gets to the top of his ramp, and the rocket sputters out. So he's trying to figure out what's going on. He turns around and then it restarts and he goes down and ends up just kind of like plowing into the ground. And she is like, oh, no, no, she's going to help him. And she grabs a bucket of water and dumps it on
Douse
him.
it, yeah.
Right.
Douse the fire.
Which, oddly enough, he was not very thrilled with her intervention.
Ruined his,
It ruined his invention, which, yeah, he is not really, this lady is very beautiful and she's very sweet and very kind and she seems to be very caring. But Mr. Potts, the children's father,
Caractacus.
Caractacus Potts, doesn't seem to be very interested.
Crackpot.
Yeah. Yeah, so he doesn't seem to be very interested in her or really interested in explaining himself or any of this stuff. He's just living his life and his focus seems to be on his inventions and his children, and he doesn't really seem like he has room for any more than that.
Yeah.
He's kind of gets the idea that she's interfering and kind of maybe a goody two shoes type.
Yeah.
And yeah, I found that whole, the way that they met to be really interesting. Just because you see that, what she's doing is out of the kindness of her heart. She really is a caring person. And yet that it wasn't something that he needed or wanted.
Yeah, you're kind of interfering and butting in a little bit.
Right. But yet, over the course of the movie, you do see that it's something that he does realize that he is missing something,
Yeah.
that he can't give the children everything. And yet, he really, it's not something that he's looking for either.
Hmm.
So, yeah, we'll probably end up talking a little bit more about that as we go on because I do find that interesting as the story progresses. So he kind of tells her she goes in because she's going, okay, I'm not being heard, and I really need to make sure that he understands what has happened. That the children were running around in the road, and so she wants to say her piece. And so she follows him in, and they kind of get distracted by all of his inventions and everything. She sees just all of the machinery and gadgets and is kind of intrigued by it. You can see that at the same time that she came in with a mission, she's also seeing, she's open to see the beauty and the coolness in what he does. It's not that she's, just this goody goody that has a mission. She's not a Karen.
Right.
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 And, you really see that she's somebody kind of unique and kind of special that she can see and appreciate and be intrigued by this very eccentric character. And so she leaves, and we get to see the children and the father interact. They tell the dad about the car and that it's going to be melted down and that he needs to rescue it. And they ask him to go and spend the 30 shillings. And the dad is kind of like, oh, you can see him and the grandpa looking at each other, kind of like, okay, yeah, that's not possible. So you're kind of seeing that they are very tight on money. They're not well to do. But, he kind of says, well, I guess we'll have to see what we can do. But kind of tries to let them down gently, kind of saying, that's a lot of money. I don't know that I can do that, but I'm going to try. So he kind of gives a half promise and sends them off to bed. And then the father, his father, the children's grandfather, kind of gives him a little lecture on, well, you should be working, you should be, making money. Your inventions aren't making you any money. And so you kind of get that even though this very eccentric old man who's going off to Africa, he still kind of has a head on his shoulders and some wisdom there that kind of comes out at odd moments. But Mr. Caractacus, they're both Mr. Potts, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Caractacus, I don't know. He seems like he's a dreamer. He still wants his inventions to work, to make money, and he's kind of determined that he's gonna make this work somehow. So anyway.
Okay, when do they do the thing where he's got one of his inventions is the candied whistles, and then he has to go. Didn't he go down to the chocolate?
That's the next thing. He goes back out to his workshop and he's kind of looking around to see if there's anything that can actually make him money, right? Any way that he can actually find this, the ability to make his kids' dreams come true here. And he's looking through everything. He ends up seeing, because the little candy sticks, one of his inventions that he made, the lady, which her name is Truly Scrumptious, she had remarked on, it had holes in it. And she said, oh, well, the boiling point of your sugar is too high. And he's going, yeah, okay, here's another useless thing. He throws it, and his dog goes to chew on it and actually makes a whistling noise through it. And he realizes that the holes in the candy actually make it work like a little pipe, a musical pipe. So, and it has a very pretty sound to it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, okay, well, this is actually something that I can sell. This is cool. So he goes the next day with his children to go see there's a candy maker in town. Very wealthy, has this factory that they're producing all of this candy, and he's going to try and sell his idea, his invention, that he's labeled Toot Sweets to this gentleman. And as he's going in to try and make an appointment to see the candy maker, Big Boss, he's getting brushed off by the secretary. He's like, oh, well, you can't just go and see him. You have to make an appointment. It's going to be 3 weeks till you can come in. He's going, oh, that's not good. Is there any way we can go and see it? And then who do we see come in but Miss Truly Scrumptious? And she, comes in and she's like, oh, well, fancy meeting you here. And then they find out that Truly is the daughter of the candy maker.
Yes.
Which is why she knew about the boiling point
of candy.
Sugar.
Yeah.
Right. And the first reaction of Caractacus is, oh, well, there's no way I'm going to get in. And now, we got off to a bad start.
Bad foot. Yep. Wrong foot.
Right. And so, he's like, okay, well, come on, children, let's go. And she's like, well, hang on a second. What are you here for? And so he reluctantly explains the candy invention that he has. And she's like, oh, this is really cool, actually, very, yeah, no, you need to see him. And she tells the secretary to go ahead and let him go back. And she also says, don't let him bully you. So he goes in and is just not very successful at first. She kind of encourages him to keep going, and you get a really fun song where starts. Yeah, at first he's just like, okay, this is not working, but then he,
it's a sales pitch,
right,
as a song, and it's a big dance number too.
Yes.
But what does the whistle do?
Well, at first, it's actually going wonderfully. He actually gets the candy maker to try it, and everybody's having so much fun. And he's like, "Yes, I've done it. He likes it."
Mm-hmm.
But then, as they're doing a chorus of these Toot Sweets and playing and singing, all of a sudden, the dogs, all of the neighborhood dogs, start rushing the building and burst in and
spill everything, make a total mess.
Chaos. So they just decide, okay, whoops, nope, that's not going to work out. Yeah. And they take off, which is kind of a theme of Caractacus Potts. When one of his inventions doesn't work out and things end up taking a downturn,
Right.
he runs away, which is another thing that I do want to talk about. But I want to talk about it after the second time that he runs away. So we'll get into that.
So that fails. So the first time the candy thing deal fails. So now he has to use another one of his inventions to make up the money.
Right.
And what is it?
It's a hair cutting machine.
It is and it goes off just as well as you'd expect. Like not really good. It looks rough.
So he goes to like this carnival, right? And he's decides, yeah, this is going to be a great place to make some money and get people to try out my inventions. So he gets a guy to try his haircutting machine, and it takes off a strip just around his head, leaves the top and the bottom of his hair.
I feel called out by that, but that's fine.
Oh no, that's
my hair looks better than that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And doesn't work out. And he runs away.
Right. So that's the second time that an invention goes wrong, and rather than actually staying and facing the consequences, he runs off. So, and that's kind of one of those.
He has a song, but there's a song and dance.
Yeah, there's a song and dance, which is great, and things end up working out for him because as he's trying to escape and everything, he ends up with all of these other guys doing a performance. And at the end of the performance, people start throwing money. They really liked the show.
There's your 30 bob right there.
And yeah, he ends up getting the money that he needs to buy the car. But I okay. So this is going to be the first kind of big pause that I want to take. Is it really something like, do we just gloss over when you have an adult acting really badly in a kid's movie?
How so?
Because he's not taking responsibility for, he's harming people. The first time in the factory, the dogs came in and destroyed a whole bunch of candy. He just runs off.
It's not as deadly serious. It's fantasy. It's a goof.
You've got this man that's been, actually harmed. That haircut was awful.
Yeah, it was,
yes,
but it's
hair
played,
and it'll grow back.
Even mistakes are played for laughs. They made a mistake, but it's still funny.
But I guess to me, I really kind of, I liked the fact that later on, the dad does kind of get called out. And we'll talk about that later because I felt like that was important to actually include. We'll get to that. But you see this man who is basically a kid raising kids. He's not, he's fine with his kids playing hooky from school.
Yeah.
He kind of brushes it off as, well, didn't you ever play hooky? Well, it'll give, the other kids a chance to catch up. So he's basically saying, my kids are so smart, they don't even need to go to school. He's running away and teaching his kids. Like, that's the example that he's giving for his children. This is not, you see that he loves his kids. He cares for them. He wants them to have what they want and what they need, right?
Right.
And there's some moments of seriousness when you see a depth of wisdom that he is trying to teach to his children. He's teaching them how to get through times when they're sad, when you don't have hope. He's trying to teach them how to trust, how to dream. There's a lot of good things that he is teaching them. But then it's, this flip side of he's also teaching them that it's okay to kind of run wild, that it's okay to not go to school, that it's okay to run off and not face the consequences when you hurt somebody. So I don't know if that was maybe necessary to show that there's a gap there, that he did need someone else. the kids needed a mother. Maybe that's, what they were trying to show. That even though he's, you know, or if it's just like you said, where they're playing stuff off for laughs. But it is kind of one of those that I go, I think I can remember my oldest when she was a kid watching this for the first time going, oh, but he shouldn't have just ran away. He should have made things better. So even she at a young age was like, why would he just run away like that? That's not okay. And that was actually a conflict for her as she's seeing, and then everything just works out for him. It shouldn't have worked out for him because he did something wrong. So anyway.
I would have liked, I watched this and I was like looking at my watch going, when's the car going to show up? Because they have been through 2 dance and song sequences. I know it's a musical, but I want to see the car. I was like, where is the car? I want the car. And it was like 40, it felt like 40, almost 30 to 40 minutes before you actually see the car in its glory, just to say. And
Yeah.
maybe, you know what, I'm not so big of a guy that I'm just like, oh, the car is not important. I want to see the car.
But the most important thing was the story and the relationship.
I figured
between,
that was going to get developed after the car showed up.
This is not a car story. This is a romance.
It
The
just happens
car
to have a car in it.
played a big part of it,
Yeah.
but it's not the main character. The main character, or the main plot line is the romance. So yeah, it makes sense that they would spend more time developing that.
I like that, but I want the car there too. And I get that.
Okay.
And once the car shows
yeah.
up and they start liking each
Like I
other,
said,
I'm like, this movie is getting off to a good
This is
start.
a long movie.
Okay, yeah.
But it's a long movie because they take the time to really develop the characters and for you to really start rooting for, and you have to find enough time
There's multiple songs
to fall in love
sequence.
with this dad and with this children, and to really want to see and to want them to have the best. Because as much as they, you look at them and you see that this dad, he's really doing the best he can.
Yeah.
Yet he's not perfect. And I think that that's kind of the thing that, when I first started watching it, my thought was, he really doesn't need anybody else. He's doing a great dad. He's doing a great job because he's a great dad.
Yeah.
He's loves them. He, is giving them this very whimsical and just imagination filled childhood. And he didn't really need anything more, and that was my first thought. And then as it's going on, I'm going, well, hang on now. He's not perfect. As much as he's really good, he's not perfect.
Too. I think the kids want a mom too.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell.
And I really spent a long time while I'm watching the movie just thinking about, as a love story goes, most of the time when you see a single father, they really do, like most of the time you don't see such a good single father, right? A lot of times you see a father that's just kind of really failing at giving the children love, at giving them time. You see the father maybe overly strict or so busy working that he doesn't have time for the kids. And you end up feeling really sorry for the kids. And this one really, you see the kids are having this really magical, lovely, love-filled childhood.
Right.
And so when you see, a woman coming into the picture, I really don't feel like they were trying to fill a major gap in the children's lives. I feel like what she added was just she was coming along and joining in with what he was doing. You see at the very beginning that she's kind of going, what is going on? And she's questioning. But as she's seeing the way that he parents, she falls in love not because she wants to change him. She falls in love with him because of who he is She falls in love with the eccentricity, with the whimsy, and with how much he loves his kids, and with the imaginative ride that he's taking them on. She wants to be a part of that. She doesn't want to come in and necessarily fix it. That changes, and I love that that does. I think that that's something that really is beautiful and unique about this story, is that we don't see the dad who is just desperately needing the wife to come in and fix everything. You see a dad who really is doing quite well. Is he perfect? No, but he's doing quite well. And the woman just kind of seamlessly slips in there and joins in. She's not going to come in and completely change everything for the kids. She fits with what's already going on.
It's about sharing a life, not really fixing it.
Right. And I think that I approve of that, because I don't really like when books are set up as the woman has to fix the man and she has to completely change his character and who he is. Because I feel like it's kind of not only is it unrealistic, but it's actually kind of dangerous when we teach girls that they need to have this kind of rescuer mentality. It's like, you go in there and you see a guy who's just so messed up, but you can fix him. And that's a very common thing in books and movies.
Mm.
And with this one, you're not getting that I'm going to come in and fix you. You're getting that I'm going to come in and just keep going along with what you're doing. Yes, there's improvements that can be made, but it's not, there wasn't a 180 that was needed. So, anyway, spent long enough on that. Yeah, sorry. Okay. So, yes, he does run away from his problems, but things work out, whether that's, played off for laughs, whether that's showing a kind of a deeper plot point or necessity for it, whatever it's there for, it's
Right.
there. And the next day, you see him come home with the car. So he's managed to get the money, he's brought home, the kids are thrilled, and you see the next several days are spent, or weeks, or
it's a car building montage.
car building montage, yes.
Right.
Where the grandpa kind of takes over watching the kids, and the dad is just in the zone. All that he's doing is just car. You see it, some really funny moments too, where the dad comes in and he's kind of just measuring, and he takes off this metal piece that they have above the fireplace in the house, and he just kind of detaches it, walks off with it. No word of explanation.
And a boat hat, like there's a part of a boat that he puts on it, so it's
He's
just
randomly coming and grabbing and gathering stuff, because he's in the zone, and whatever he needs, whether it was necessary or important or not, he's just gonna grab it and use it.
And the end result
Mhm.
is awesome. It's pretty iconic. And the engine, the way it works, it makes a noise, and it sounds like it's going chitty bang bang chitty bang, and it has a little the back, what do you call it, the back and something like the two bangs, so we get the chitty chitty bang bang. But that's where they come up with a name for it. And they want, they're just like, okay, what's the first thing we need to do? Well, let's take a ride. Well, I got a better idea. Let's do a picnic. And do they go pick up Truly?
On their way, they run Truly off the road again
into the same lake. Yeah, same little pond.
Right. But her car is even more stuck this time. She can't just back it out. She's gone further in to the water.
So he picks her up.
Right. He picks her up and brings her out of the water, and he tells her that, he'll have someone get her or tow her car out, and invites her to go on the picnic with them.
To the beach.
To the beach, yes. And it's a beautiful day.
They have a lovely time.
You have more songs, and it's really beautiful. And then the kids ask towards the end, they're all sitting in the car, and they ask him for a story. And so he starts telling a story. And as he's telling a story, it's coming true. Like you're seeing it come
Yeah.
to life. So he tells a story of a pirate, a duke, who's
A baron.
baron. That's right, not a duke. We'll go a little bit less right than a duke. So a baron is coming because he's heard about this amazing car and he wants the car. And
the tide
has comes
risen.
in.
Yeah.
And
they're stuck.
They're stuck until the car, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, transforms into a boat. And so they're able to zoom off, and there's this chase, and the baron's just like, I want that car. I can, not only is it a great car, it also can float. So it's really hilarious. But they manage to get back, and it transforms back, as they're driving onto the beach. It transforms back, puts the wheels down, and they take off. And you think that kind of the story's over now.
Oh no. The Baron has spies that he has on, because he is Baron Bombburst of Bulgaria. Right. And he's got a couple of spies on his boat. And he gets them, once they get on land, he sends them out. He goes, you got to go get this car for me.
That confused me as a child, because I thought that like the story was over, because it's like, oh, they're done and they're going home and they drop off Truly and they're back to their house. And it seems like, oh, they told a story and it was wonderful and then it's over. But then the spies are still there.
They're still at the beach this whole time.
Right. So you actually get, after all of the rest of the movie goes through, you get them back at the beach. But you've already seen them at the beach and finishing up and leaving.
Right, in the boat mode.
Right. So it actually really did confuse me, because I thought that the story was over, but the story wasn't over. Yeah. You don't get kind of this, you actually kind of think that somehow the story is kind of merged into real life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's.
And in the book, there isn't really a story element. It just is like, they're these gangsters that and the car really does change into those different things of its own accord. And that's where the magical part of that comes in. So I guess they were trying to find a way to merge the real kind of theme with the story theme to kind of bring all that. I don't think they had to do that. I think they could have just made it where stuff's just happening, because we're in a musical. I mean, we're going to do a musical sequence. We're going to have people spin around a candy factory. Just you accept it and you go with it, because it's movie musical logic. So why not,
That's also another, very much, when my kids first watched this movie, they got to the end where they're back at the beach again for the second time. And they're like, wait a second. So all of that didn't happen? That was all just a story? It's like, yeah, I'm sorry.
It's like Inception.
Yeah, it actually is. It's disappointing to realize that all of the magical things that have happened were still a part of the story.
Or you could say, or did it? And then the Baron goes, I'm still here, and you're like, oh, no, but that's not what
happened. But yeah, so going back to, we're still in the story. They've come back to the beach. They drop off Truly. Truly does this song where she's talking about how much she actually does love Caractacus. And the children go home, but then, you see the spies that are coming after, and that kind of drives the plot forward. They're trying to capture the car. In the end, they decide instead that they're going to take the inventor.
Well, they do capture Lord Scrumptious, Truly's dad. They capture him accidentally, and there's these little comic sequences, and they do go back to Caractacus' house,
right?
And they decide find somebody else.
Yeah, which I never really understood why they decided to give up on trying to capture the car and instead try to capture the inventor. But that's what they do. It's not really explained why that decision was.
I wonder if they thought that if they capture the inventor, that he could invent them a magical car, which actually does happen.
That is what they decide to do, but you don't really see that communication happen. I think that if they had a little part where they, were communicating and said,
yeah, 2 sentences
because
will do
they
it.
called in a ride, right? So they call him after they've kind of made this plan, but you don't really see them get approval for the plan. It's like, well, who decided this? But anyway, so
Just go with it. Yeah.
they see the grandfather going to Africa, which he's got this little hut that he goes to.
It's like an outhouse kind of.
Right. Just, on I don't remember where it is when the dad is like talking about his son. He's like, he's very eccentric. I don't know where he gets that from.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's one of my favorite lines in this whole thing. Just the utter obliviousness of this grandfather not realizing, yeah, no, that your son is a chip off the old block.
And they keep saying, Potts, and because that's his name, and the grandpa's name is Potts too. So they're just like,
right,
grab him.
So they think that he is Professor Potts, and they end up hooking a grapple hook to the top of his hut, and they've got like a
airship.
Yeah, a zeppelin.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got like a zeppelin that the Baron is driving to come and grab the professor. And so they end up kidnapping him, flying through the air, and the kids and the father and Truly are out again in the car, which I guess they go back for some reason. Truly's with them again. They don't really show why she's with them again the next day, but they're all driving again, and they see him flying off. And that's when Chitty Chitty, they're zooming after him, and they go over this cliff.
It's the White Cliffs of Dover, I think. So they go over that.
Right. And they're about to crash into the water when Chitty just opens up wings
and
starts flying.
Propellers and stuff too, yeah.
Right. So they travel after to go and rescue the grandfather.
So the grandpa is taken to Baron Bomburst's castle in Bulgaria, and he is amongst other inventors. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to get him to do it, but he's like, I don't know what to do. And they're saying, hey, give it a shot. Failure is the best teacher in this. So
which is it's undoubtedly one of the best songs, right?
It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun.
And it's also got a good message. Like, that's probably the song that has the best message out of all of them.
Yeah, but that means they failed quite a bit, these guys. Now, the Baron has a wife, and she hates children. Mm-hmm. And children have been outlawed. Now, I don't understand how you can outlaw children and not have you have to let the children grow and become taxpayers of Bulgaria, which, again, just go with it. It's a fantasy. It's a fairy tale. And there's a local guy, a toy maker. And don't ask why a toy maker makes toys if there's no children.
Because the Baron loves toys.
That's right. Oh, you're right. Yeah. He's the one that likes toys.
So the Baron likes toys.
He's
so
a little
the toy
kid.
maker is there to make toys for the Baron, but there's no kids.
No wonder he likes the car, because the car is a toy too to him.
Right.
I was going to say that the toy maker helps him hide under the floor, but they have to get the creepiest character ever to help find the children, because he can smell them out. He is the child catcher. I have found that people online remember the weirdest things, and they're like, I don't remember a lot about when I was a kid, but the child catcher is in residence up in my brain. So even though he's a small character in this, it's really memorable to, I guess, a lot of Gen X.
That is scary. Like,
yeah, he's creepy, especially especially with all the things that have gone on in the last 50 years. Anyway, yeah.
Caractacus goes off with the toy maker. He's convinced him to help him find a way into the castle to rescue the grandfather.
Yes.
And Truly is supposed to stay with the children in the toy maker's shop, but they get really hungry, and so she goes to look for some food. She tells them to stay right there.
Yeah.
Well, as she's gone, the child catcher comes back and
He offers candies and
Right. He
all kind
starts
of
talking
stuff.
about candies and ice creams and treacle tarts and
That's
all
how
of
he
this.
captures the kids.
Right. And the kids are like, oh, yeah, we'll go get some for Truly too. So they run out after
I
them
have
and get
this
captured.
white windowless van, kids, and I have puppies. Do you want to see them? Yeah, hey kids, this is what stranger danger is the
Yeah.
child catcher. So don't do that. But they get captured.
They
Truly,
get
truly sees
captured.
it,
Mm-hmm.
and she
And
is freaked out.
Caractacus
Yeah,
comes back right then too, and they're like, no, we've got to rescue the children now as well as the grandfather. So they end
and
up
the Baron has the car now.
right.
He's captured the car, so
Baron's
he's
got
got all the
he's got
cards.
everything.
Got everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you see them sneaking in under the castle with the toy maker. And you kind of get another plot point at that point, which is you under the castle is where all of the children from the village have been living for the past 12 years.
Including probably the parents that kept them down there to keep them safe.
Yeah. But you still have a lot of the people, a lot of the villagers that are living in the village, I guess, just to try and keep up appearances and
Right.
not let them know that anything's wrong. So they've been sneaking them food and, they've been stealing food from the castle. It just seems really miserable. And that's the point where you really see Caractacus just kind of realizing that this is a whole lot bigger than
My kid's in a
him.
car. Yeah.
Right,
This has got to stop.
right. And this is what I was talking about, where he kind of gets at, called up higher, right?
Right.
Because the kids are kind of asking him questions, and he starts off by singing them a lullaby that he sings to his kids, right? And he breaks down in the middle of it and truly kind of joins in to kind of help him out. And it's a beautiful lullaby. It's kind of telling them, the purpose of it is to say, just kind of rest and trust that everything will be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But when they finish, the toy maker goes, that's not enough. That doesn't help them. And it's like, I'm so glad that that's in there.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you're trying to just kind of say, oh, hush, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. But no, these are people that have a real need. You can't just brush them aside like that. You can't just run away from every problem.
Right.
Sometimes it's something so big that you have to actually fix it. So
But
he
you have
gets
to have a
kind of
plan.
called to step up. Right. So at that point, it's like Caractacus goes, okay, hang on, I've got a plan.
Yeah.
And comes up with the plan. So the next day is the Baron's birthday.
Yes.
And they get into the castle by the toy maker has been commissioned by the Baron's wife, who, funnily enough, apparently the Baron has been trying to kill, which is kind of
Yes.
an interesting little side.
Drop her in a trap door. Yeah.
Right. He keeps trying to kill her, and I kind of wonder why that's in there, whether you're just trying to show what a truly miserable person this is, because she is also realizing that he's trying to get rid of her. And yet, she seems like she still kind of loves him. You have that whole little Pookie Bear song,
Choochie face.
Choochie Face thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and her outfit's really good in the kids' movie too.
Yeah. That's, yeah.
I was like, okay.
But you see them kind of pretending to love each other. And yet, during this entire song, he keeps trying to, he tries to hit her with an axe and like drop a spike on her and then drops her into a trap door.
The trap door is the final.
And yeah, and she like comes back and she's like realizing, especially after the thing he tries to drop the spike on her, like you see this realization, that he's trying to kill me.
Right.
And yet she just kind of continues on. And I think there's a whole kind of other level of discussion that could go into that. But probably don't have time to go into all
Right.
that today. But it does kind of, I go, what on earth was the point of that? Of showing, you've got this glimpse of kind of domestic violence and abuse that's happening in a kids movie, and the way that they're kind of glossing over it and making it kind of funny. I'm like, there are some there are some older movies that you kind of see stuff like, when we were talking about Mary Poppins,
Yeah.
and we were going, oh well, there's this assumed understanding, and it's fine, there's nothing really problematic. This movie has some problematic things in it.
Yeah. I'd probably say this one and Annie has some things that are kind of,
Yeah, that it's like it's kind of just brushed over, and there's the humor, it's used as humor or as to kind of show that these are actually really miserable people. And, you know, it may just be there just to try and make people not like them and be happy at their demise.
yeah.
You've got the Baroness who hates children. And so, and the Baron that's really despicable, not only kidnapping people and making his people's lives miserable, but also he's trying to kill his wife. Like there has to be something just so despicable about these people that you're happy that they're gone. But it's also kind of like, I don't know, it is problematic for sure. But they are the bad guys, so I suppose they need to be
But
problematic.
even bad guys have birthdays. And
Right.
so
So they get snuck into the castle by the toy maker, sorry, Caractacus and Truly pretend to be dolls, puppets that dance and stuff. And so they do this really iconic song and dance scene. But while they're doing this, the children from underneath the castle sneak in, and they start, putting
manacles on
manacles
everybody's feet.
on
Yeah.
everybody's feet, and they drop a grappling hook down and hook it onto the Baron
Yeah.
and pull him up into the roof. Then they start dropping nets, and the children are just swarming in. It's this chaotic
It's
scene.
run amok.
Right.
And they capture the Baron, the Baroness, and the child catcher.
Child snatcher, yeah. And during this, they go off and they find the two children, Jemima and Jeremy, and rescue them. And they find the grandfather, and everybody gets out. They find
the
Chitty,
car.
they find Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and
C2B2. Sounds like a droid. No, C squared B squared. There we go. They find the car.
yeah. So that is pretty much, they then start up Chitty, and she puts her wings out, and they fly off, fly home. And everything is wonderful because the villagers came in with the children. Yes, we should say that too. And everybody participated in taking back the castle.
It's probably a coup now. They're probably going to overthrow them and probably.
Well, it says that
it does
say that they got the pilgrim, or the people of Bulgaria got their freedom.
There you go.
So
there you go.
it's a happily ever after for all the people in Bulgaria, and everything's all okay with the Potts.
Yes, and it shows them fly back, but it's really the end of the story. For the story that Caractacus is telling the kiddos and Truly, and he's like,
right. Which you see them back on the beach.
Yeah.
So it's like you jump back a couple of days to then, and the children ask, oh well, is that are Caractacus and Truly going to get married now? And the dad's like, no,
he doesn't really answer.
Yeah, Truly's like, are they? Is that how the story ends? So you kind of see that, yeah, she would be down with that. But he kind of brushes off the question and says, it's time to go home. And he's kind of embarrassed by that.
He drops her back and makes a statement that their social statuses don't match up. She's got wealth and he's got nothing, and that really wouldn't work out really well.
I love her statement back to him. She's like, if I had said that, you would call me a snob.
That's right. I remember that. So in
Right.
a way, she's kind of calling him on his own nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes you need that.
So she's not begging, but she's definitely let him know
Don't reject me for the
that
wrong
she
reason. Yeah.
is interested in him. And, she's open.
If you're going to say
Which
you
I
don't
think
love
that,
me, okay, fine. I
yeah,
can
she
respect
could
that.
have
But
responded. I think that in a lot of love stories and stuff, when the woman feels rejected, her response is like a prideful, oh, well, I never asked you, and or I wouldn't, she would have pushed back against that in
yeah,
pride. But Truly doesn't do that. She does make a statement, but it's about his attitude. She doesn't make it where it's like, well, I'm not interested anyway, which would honestly have destroyed things completely if she had done that. So I
no,
like,
she's interested. But she's kind
yeah.
of calling him out saying, if you're going to reject me, don't reject me for that reason.
Hmm.
About the social standing thing, for real, I mean,
Hmm.
she knows he's going to fold on that when he realizes what an idiot move that is.
But see, the thing is that they don't actually make it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because the story could have ended where he realized that he was being an idiot, that social standing doesn't matter, but they don't. Because what happens is when they get home, her father is at their house and they're actually playing toy soldiers with the grandfather. They find out that they were in the same regiment and
The grandfather was his Batman,
Mhm.
which actually is that reminded me of Tolkien. Because
Mm.
Tolkien said that he made Sam and Frodo like that, like this kind of relationship. That Sam was kind of his Batman,
That's fun.
butler kind of, you know, servant to help him,
Hmm.
and that kind of relationship. But that's how he based it off of. Anyway, they knew each other from way back, and he noticed that the dogs, when they were getting the
Hmm.
whistles, they were enjoying
Yeah,
the treats.
that's the reason why he was actually there, was that he'd come to make Caractacus an offer for his toot sweets, but
Not for humans, though.
right, not for humans, but for dogs because dogs love them so much. So you actually see that even though at the beginning Truly's father seemed kind of, I don't know, stuck up or brash or whatever, that he's actually kind of a really nice guy. And you see why or how he could be Truly's father.
Right.
That, there's actually something more to him than he was first giving off. But yeah, so he's going to offer Caractacus quite a bit of money for that invention to be able to produce these sweets for dogs, says they're going to make, and has a contract ready for him to sign. And that's when he goes, hang on, don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. And he runs off to go find Truly. So that was really what made the difference for him, was when he had actually felt like he had something to offer her.
Yeah.
If he was going to just be a penniless kind of failing inventor, he wasn't going to be able
But they
to
wouldn't.
reach out to
But it
Truly.
wasn't. But see, the thing is, often I'd say we as men, but many times men feel like that we can't just offer you love. We have to offer you. You have to be comfortable. And you have to be taken care of, because that's where you find your safety and where you find your.
There's a lot of realism to that idea
It's an
of
old
him
hang up. Yeah.
having to feel like he could make something of himself, that he had something to offer her. And,
Well, he
even though
did
she would have
love.
been,
That old chestnut love.
a lot of stories, though, do kind of or they kind of revolve around that theme of the idea of marrying somebody for love, and then, you think that it's going to be okay, but eventually she does end up resenting him. She might have been okay at first with living on nothing, but if that nothing continues on and he never makes anything of himself,
Fiddler on the Roof, maybe. That was something.
honestly,
That was
I
something
was
that
thinking
that
of
was something.
Hades Town.
Oh,
Even
Oh,
more
right. Okay,
so.
that makes a little sense based upon
Yeah, but
what little
there's
I
a
know of that.
lot of books and stories that kind of have that theme of it's kind of romanticized the idea that you're going to live off love. But if the man can't figure out some way to make money, it's not sustainable.
Right.
He can't just do nothing and that continue. He has to find some way of providing. Or there is going to be resentment and there's going to be hardship your entire life. And I think that, a lot of parents, when they're looking at their children, don't like when stories are like that because they go, yeah, that sounds all well and good. And it might be great to start off with, but you have to have a man that will step up and that will make something of himself, that will do something hard, even if it means that, Caractacus can't be an inventor anymore. He has to actually go get a 9 to 5 job. Is he going to be willing to do that? Marrying somebody who's, a penniless artist that, you know, lives for the dream is not a sustainable thing to do. You can fall in love with that person and with their heart and with their dream, but if it doesn't ever materialize, you can't eat a dream.
Yes.
So I
But
kind
you
of,
can't eat toot sweets.
yeah, like I understand why Truly was okay with him as he was, but she had never known hunger. And he actually, though it seems like pride, I think that I actually really can respect that in him of going, I need to have something that I can offer you. It's not just about, it's not just about pride, there's practicality to that.
Right.
Of going, I can't bring you into my mess until I've fixed it somehow, until I know that I can provide for you at least the basic, the bare necessities. And so, yeah, I don't know. Like at first, like I can remember as a kid hating that and feeling like that was just the most unromantic thing ever that he had to actually have money and be on this in the same social status as her before he was willing to propose. But like the older that I've gotten, the more that I've realized, wow, that's actually a really good thing. And that's a
Yeah.
good lesson to teach kids. That's not unromantic. That actually is,
Practical.
yeah. And it's a needed lesson, I think. So
Now,
that's
Truly finds out that his deal went through
mhm.
and she's heading his way just as he's heading to go see her. And I think, doesn't she run off she
Runs off
runs
the
off
road
the,
for
to
the
the
third
lake
time.
again. Yeah. It's the rule of threes. And he gets her out of the car, her car, and she gets into
Mhm.
his, and they're lovey-dovey and they're talking and everything. And while they're talking,
And he's talking about how he needs to be practical and all of this.
keep his feet
Keep
on
his
the
feet on the
ground, his head out of
ground.
the clouds. And what happens? The car flies without the wings don't even pop out. It actually flies. So is this real? I don't know. He's flying, and and we get the theme song.
I think though that that's where you're balancing it out. Where it's like you can have a dream and you can have practicality and somehow they can coexist.
Yes.
And I think of everything, like that very ending scene, even though it may seem that it's done for a giggle, I think that's one of the deepest things I've ever seen in a movie. I really do. I love the fact that it wasn't, that he actually was able to get money off of his inventing
Yeah.
and that all
It
worked
wasn't. It
out.
wasn't what he expected,
Yeah.
but neither was falling in
And at
love.
the
He didn't
same
expect to fall in
time,
love either.
we didn't talk about the grandfather in the story kind of learns a lesson too, because the grandfather's been pushing his son to do something practical and to give up the inventing.
Right.
But then, the song that we mentioned earlier, the Roses one, that is with the grandfather and the other inventors, the Roses of Success song, it does kind of, you're seeing the grandfather kind of learning the practicality of keeping on trying with the inventing stuff. I feel like he gets kind of a look into his son's life. and learn some lessons there.
But he's learning a lesson that didn't exist. He learned the lesson in the story.
Right.
But
But
he
Truly and Caractacus fall in love in the story and in real life, so I feel like it's all.
Are you? It's merging.
It's all merged together, and there's all lessons that were learned. That's my canon. But with it all, I think it really is. It's a lovely story. It's long, but there's a lot of depth to it, and a lot of things that can kind of be pulled out, and that can, there's some meat in there that.
And it's fun if you're in the right. You got to be in the right frame of mind, I think,
Yeah.
to accept the silliness of life and the romantic. I mean that in all the ways in which that means, the romantic nature of life.
I feel like if you enjoy Howl's Moving Castle, you probably will enjoy this. Just that inventor and crazy and eccentricity, type story.
Yes.
It appeals to that.
And the music's fun. I will tell you about the music is, I guess I had been primed to like the music because of you. Because you sing some of those songs now and again, and I didn't really put two and two together. That's where they were from, even though you probably said it multiple times. But I never put two and two together. That's where they were from. And then when they started doing them, I was like, that I've been primed to. And also my son, Ethan, actually was watching some clips from this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's something you did, you incepted it in there, or it just happened because he likes. Okay, because Ethan likes dancing and singing videos.
He finds good stuff.
He tends to have good taste most of the time, and so yeah.
I will say though that I feel like there are some really good, strong songs in there. Not all of them are really great. There's some that just kind of fall a little
They're
flat.
just there, yeah.
It's not as good of a musical as the other ones we've talked about this month, as far as just every song just being
a banger, as the kids say.
Really iconic. Yeah. But there's enough in there that I feel like, it still stands on its own. And it's definitely got I feel like there's more to the story than some of the other ones. Just more depth to it.
And it's fun. It's fun and memorable,
Yeah. But that's gonna wrap it up for us today. So yeah, we don't know what we're talking about next month yet. We'll let you know next week.
And I might just put some of the pop culture stuff in the comments. So for those eagle-eyed people that do more than just watch us and actually look at the comments, I might put in some nifty little treats in there for your little factoid people.
And if you've stayed this long, we do hope that you will subscribe and meet us back here next week.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time.